and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker, and no Micah today. We're doing this on Thursday. I did match of the day last night, got home about 3:30, quarter to 4.
Ouch!
Yeah, that midweek one's always, it was a late show. We didn't finish, I think, till nearly 12:15.
Ooh.
You were watching the games at home, Alan, no doubt?
I was. I watched the first half of Manchester United Ipswich. And then
which was interesting.
Which was unbelievably interesting. And then I watched the first half of Newcastle. And then during half time, I then went back and watched bits of the next 15, 20 minutes of Man United, Ipswich. And then I went back and watched the whole of the second half of the Liverpool and Newcastle game.
Yeah. If it wasn't already done, the title, it's 13 points now. No team in the history, not just of the Premier League, but top flight football has ever let a lead slip of this magnitude after so many games. So,
yeah, the title's done. Yeah. The relegation's done. Let's just all go on holiday.
Unless Leicester win tonight. Leicester win tonight against West Ham. Ooh. I fear that. I think that's probably unlikely.
You wouldn't want to put £1 on that, would you?
No. I mean, obviously it was a trial run of the Carabao Cup Final that's to come in a couple of weeks. He changed his way of playing, Eddie Howe, didn't he? Sort of played almost a 4-4-2 in a way, two up top. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was. I think what he tried to do is he put Gordon sort of up alongside Callum Wilson. As soon as I saw the team and no Isak, I thought, because if you're gonna beat Liverpool, you need your big hitters, which obviously Isak is. So I was obviously very worried when he wasn't.
Do you know anything of what the injury is, Alan, or how severe it is? Is he going to be okay for the final?
From what I'm hearing, he's going to be fine for the final. Yeah. I don't think it was more. I guess that's what Eddie has to factor in over his next sort of 2 weekends. Newcastle have got Brighton in the FA Cup, and I think it's West Ham on the Monday evening, the following Monday evening. So 2 games. If there's a 2% even chance with a doubt about someone, then I guess he's just going to leave them out in prep for the final, and I don't blame him for that. So, but last night he chose to play Gordon alongside Wilson, which I was slightly surprised about because I guess he wanted to try and stop that ball into Liverpool's midfield because they are very good at that and very dangerous at that and love to build up from that position. But what that then did is took the threat of Gordon against Trent Alexander-Arnold down Newcastle's left, Liverpool's right, which I felt would have been a really interesting battle because I think people running at Trent, you might get a little bit of joy, I don't know. But we very rarely saw that because of what Eddie chose to do. And I guess my take was from the game is that the best team won. Liverpool pretty much dominated. Newcastle had one big opportunity, I think, with Callum Wilson to make it 1-1 in that first half.
Allison, yeah.
But other than that, Newcastle really didn't threaten. Stuck in the game. But Liverpool, I don't think any Newcastle fan could have any doubt or any complaint about last night's result. Liverpool were the better team. There's no doubt about it.
It must be slightly concerning that after all these years you reach a final and you're going to have to come up against this. I mean, because they are a serious force, aren't they, at present? They're strong in every department, very creative. They've got, goals in them from all sorts of different positions, as they showed again last night. They're very controlled. It's going to be tough, Al.
No, it'll be tough. I think I'm hoping that obviously Isak, Joe Linton, because I think he will without doubt add a bit of strength to Newcastle's midfield, because one of Liverpool's huge positives, and they've got many, is that their midfield is so strong. I mean,
it really is.
Yeah, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and McAllister. Wow, the 3 very good players. And when you consider that Liverpool couldn't get really a midfielder in during the summer, that was one of the priority positions they were trying to get in, wasn't it, in the summer?
Well, Curtis Jones as well. Whenever he's played,
Curtis Jones, yeah. So they're really strong in every position, Liverpool are. And you know what? We've spoken so many times this season about teams and their injuries. You've got to give great credit to the physios, doctors, sports science, whatever they've done at Liverpool this year, because they've played in every competition. I know the FA Cup, they got knocked out a couple of weeks ago to Plymouth. But up until then, they've played in every single week, Champions League, and they've not really had big injuries, have they? Not to their big players.
I think that's probably why the margin at the top of the table is so big, because all those around, obviously Manchester City have had their injuries and obviously dipping form as well, clearly. Arsenal now lost their front 3 or 4, and they've been debilitated. And so there's not really been a likely challenger, and that's why they've run away with it. But, I mean, they've been incredibly impressive.
Brilliant.
Despite all that. Do you think Eddie was perhaps looking at this game and tried to play that system just to see if it would work, to see whether he could do that in the final? And if so, what would he take out of it?
Was it a game of poker he was playing, not showing his hand before the final? I don't know. I mean, bearing in mind he changed the system completely when they played Arsenal in the semi-final. If you remember, he went in with 3 centre-halves where Fabian Schär kept pushing into the midfield to stop Arsenal playing. Whether he would do that again if Botman was fit, I guess it all depends whether that's if Joe Linton is going to be fit as well, because Joe Linton, Bruno and Tonali, I think, is a match for Liverpool on the day. But Liverpool go into the final as favourites. There's no doubt about that. They've been the standout team, and Newcastle are going to have to be at their very, very best. But I wouldn't take too much away from last night, too much from Liverpool v Newcastle last night, because Newcastle's record at Anfield is dreadful.
It really
dreadful.
Is,
and I take my part of blame in that as well, because I was a large part of when we went to Anfield. We very rarely got results.
Yeah. Even though you won the league title there, still lost the game.
With Blackburn, we still lost, but Anfield always will be and always has been a very difficult place to go. So I wouldn't take too much from last night.
Last night reminded me a little bit of an instance in my career, in the sense that we played, when I was at Tottenham, we played Nottingham Forest in the final in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we played against Forest, Cloughie would always put Des Walker on me man-to-man, which was quite unusual, man-to-man. You get it perhaps abroad a bit with sweepers and stuff, but he put him on me. So what I used to do in those circumstances, I used to take Des out of the centre and go out to, funnily enough, I used to go on to Stuart Pearce, which is a bit mad because he's quite aggressive, Stuart. So I'd basically tie up 2 of their best 2 defenders. Their best 2 players almost, really. Yeah. And we used to get a bit of joy down the middle. Now, I didn't really enjoy doing that, but, sometimes you sacrifice yourself for the team. You have to do it tactically. It was the right thing to do. We played Forest about, I don't know, there's been about 3 games left of the old Division 1 season.
Yeah.
And we already knew that we were playing Forest in the final. And we went out at White Hart Lane, and off we go. The game kicks off, and Des Walker is not marking me. I've got Steve Chettle marking me. Now, Steve was a big, strong, good centre half, but he wasn't Des Walker. And I thought, I wonder if Cloughie's trying this just to see if it'll work for the final, because he knew the problem of me going out and taking Des away. And I honestly, I think I've told this story probably before, way back, but it was the one game, genuinely, where I didn't try a leg in my career. I just thought to myself, this would be great at Wembley. No Des Walker all over me, because Des was so hard to, that song, you'll never beat Des Walker. And he was hard to beat when he was on you. So I thought, right, okay. So I let Steve Chettle get in front of me. I didn't try spinning him. He would have won every header anyway, regardless whether I'd tried or not. So we go off the end of the game there, and then 3 weeks later, whatever it was, we were going out at Wembley, and we're lined up in the tunnel, the 2 teams. You know how you do at Wembley in the tunnel, you stand there for a little while. And I get a little tap on the shoulder, and I look over, and it's Des Walker, and he goes, "It worked." Honestly, and I thought, I hope he means what I think he means. Yeah, right. So we get out on the pitch and are being marked by Steve Chettle. I don't want to be disrespectful with Steve, but he's not Des. And I ran him ragged. I spun him. I got behind. I got a penalty. I went round the keeper. Grossley brought me down. He saved the penalty. Stuart Pearce then scores, free kick. Yeah. So we're 1 down. I then have a perfectly good goal disallowed for offside. The evidence is there. If you want to go and look at anyone on YouTube, it's there. I'm definitely a yard onside. Nice little finish as well. So we go in at half-time, despite having one of the best 45 minutes I've had of the season, without a goal, and we're losing 1-0. And this is absolutely true. We're running out for the second half, and we're running out the tunnel. And I get a shout, and it's Links, and I look over my shoulder, and it was Des, and he went, I'm back. And Des marked me in the second half. We did the usual stuff, but thankfully we got back in the game with Paul Stewart goal. Brilliant. And we ended up winning, ironically, with a Des Walker own goal, which was sad for Des, because I love Des, great guy, great player. So I wonder whether Eddie was trying something along those lines.
Let's see.
Maybe. We shall see. With Arsenal not winning as well, last night. I mean, they're very blunt now up top, aren't they? I mean,
I know they've got injuries, but the conversation of Arsenal and a centre forward is never going away. Unfortunately for Arsenal, it's going to, until they get all the players back. Even when they had all the players, we said it at the beginning of the season. My title tip was Arsenal if they got a centre forward in, but if they didn't, I didn't fancy them. And unfortunately for them, injuries have caught up with them, and they're not winning the title now. Do you think Arsenal's, they've had an unbelievable opportunity, but is it more Liverpool being brilliant or the challenges of not being great?
I think it's definitely a bit of both. It's definitely that Liverpool have been brilliant. There's no question on that. But you mentioned before about the injury issues of a lot of the sides in the title that you would think would be in a title race. I suppose the other side that's stayed in the top 4 for quite a long time is Forest, and they've not had injury problems, but we think, punched above their weight. But certainly if you take, the 3 favourites at the beginning of the season would have been Man City, Arsenal, and then probably Liverpool, because I don't think any of us tipped Liverpool to win the title because, replacing Klopp was always going to be different. I think it's probably down to the injuries of the others, but I still think Liverpool would have been comfortably ahead. I mean, we've not had the Man City that we've had in previous seasons, have we?
Yeah, but Liverpool have only lost 1 league game.
I know. It's incredible.
At home to Forest.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
they've just been relentless. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal and Man City. I mean, Arsenal, what was it, 3 weeks ago, had a little glimmer maybe, but
yeah, they've not scored in 3 of the last 4.
Yeah, they've not been as, and Liverpool have been the standout. They've been absolutely outstanding all season.
Yeah, I think even if Arsenal hadn't lost the players they've lost recently, Liverpool would still be comfortably clear. I mean, they've been so consistent.
Yeah.
They've had 1 or 2 draws lately, and people are going, well, but actually draws away from home at, places like Everton
and Villa,
not bad points, and Villa. So yeah, there wasn't much to discuss in that game. I thought Forest did. I mean, it was fairly even encounter overall. Both teams had half chances, but did
Arsenal
much.
Only had 1 effort on target the whole night? Didn't it?
It was not a great watch.
I think that was a header from a corner.
Yeah,
but other than that, they were pretty blunt up top. Yeah. You
said you watched the Manchester United game. I mean, that first half was a bit nuts, wasn't it?
Absolutely bonkers. It was it was mad. I mean, to give the goal away the way they did in the very early on.
I felt for Dorgu in that first half. I mean, God blimey, talk about a nightmare. Well, it's not an own goal, but it was basically an own goal. Do you think he was entirely to blame for that, or do you think?
No, I don't think there's any need for the keeper to come out whatsoever.
I agree.
I think the keeper needed to stay put, and it would have been fine. No need for him to get involved at all. Dorgu's in control of that situation, so I wouldn't blame the defender at all. No. But I was thinking, here we go, like Man United getting beat at home to Ipswich. You're thinking, oh my word. Then they do, and then they get the set pieces. I mean, set pieces have basically saved them. And you've got to give, I mean, I had a pop at Man United at the weekend for terms of their application and closing down and whether they were confused and all of that. But you have to give them a bit of credit for the way they bounced back last night, because they're up against it.
Yeah. There was down to 10 men.
2-2 with 10 men, yeah. The whole of the second half. And they've had to dig in. In a way, it helped them in a bit because they could sit back. They could soak up the pressure. And they're okay at that because they did that at City, or was it Liverpool? They did it at Arsenal.
I think it suits them. Their problem generally is when they have to push on because they're then vulnerable themselves to the counter-attack because of that big space they tend to leave in midfield where they haven't really got the legs to play the system that Amorim would prefer. And I think it does. I mean, it sounds mad, doesn't it? It suits them going down to 10 men. So
they can sit and soak up the pressure and hit them on the break. Well, that's what they did.
They didn't really score from the counter-attacks, did they? I mean, there were all set-piece goals, weren't they?
3 set pieces,
which Ipswich have been pretty weak on.
Pretty poor at, But you've got to give them credit for the way they held that together last night because it would have been an absolute disaster if they were beaten at home to Ipswich last night. The noises would have got louder and louder and louder. So that was a big win for Man United and should set them up for the weekend in the FA Cup against Fulham.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much louder they can get the voices.
True. Yeah, true. It is pretty poor, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, fascinating, really, to see what they do over the next few months and how much they can do over the next few months. I mean, because they're a long way off, aren't they? Even if they get their recruitment right, which they really have not in recent times at all. How many players would they need to bring in? Because they're so short at the moment.
But I don't know whether they can. I mean, by all accounts, with PSR and the financial rules, it's like, how on earth are they going to do that? That's the big. It's all right saying, well, they need this, this, and this. Yeah, they do. There's no doubt about it. But can they? Would they be able to do it? I don't know.
It'd be very difficult, I think.
It's
Plus they're talking about, they're penny pinching all over the club. I mean, packed lunches and all these stories that we're hearing. So it doesn't suggest that they're actually in great state financially anyway.
Nope.
They're putting ticket prices up, which would be quite irksome to the supporters of Manchester United because they want them to pay more to watch stuff that is nothing like as good as they used to see 10 years ago.
And I also saw, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 teams that already, Liverpool included, that have frozen ticket prices for next season. And when you look at Man United putting prices up and for what they have to pay for and watch, nowhere near as good as other clubs are. So it's I don't know, it's a really dodgy situation there, both on and off the pitch, as we've said.
It really is. The struggles go on. Let's take a breather and then we'll discuss some of the other games when we come back. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. We're talking about the games played in midweek. And let's move on to Manchester City, who managed to beat Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I had all the games on, obviously. I had the benefit of the great benefits, the great joys of Match of the Day, isn't it? Is that you've got a bank of screens where you can watch every single game. There are times, though, when you've got like 7 or 8 games. We didn't have quite that many yesterday. But when you have a lot of games, you're designated a match because you're analysing one particular game, whereas I'm just flicking around trying to see stuff. Sometimes there might be 8 goals in the first half and I don't see one of them live. I'm always looking at the wrong bloody telly. But I was following the City Spurs game. I was watching quite a lot of that. Despite the struggles of Manchester City this season, and they have struggled, you have to say that Haaland's now scored 20 league goals.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And, it's easy when a team's battering them everywhere, as we know ourselves. But the real test, I think, is when you do struggle. And he still managed. And he was, he was quite unlucky not to get another goal in the game with the debate. I mean, they looked at it about 400 times. And the fact that the referee had disallowed it on the pitch meant they didn't have any evidence to change that decision. But that handball law is bonkers, isn't it? That if it just grazes your arm or sort of completely that's not going to make any difference, they'll give that. Yet if a defender and he's got his arms by his side and it hits his arm in the penalty area, that's not a penalty. How can one thing be handball and one thing can't? The whole handball law is a farce.
They've tied themselves up in knots with the handball law over the years. They've tried and tried and tried and changed and changed and changed. And it's just a mess. I don't see any problem with it and saying, is it deliberate handball or not? And I think that's just how to simplify it for me.
It used to be. It used to be okay. You're still going to get mistakes and disagreements. But this forensic thing about whether it flicked his left fingernail, I should say.
I know.
I mean, it's just absurd.
Crazy, yeah. Good result for City, though. And pleased to see Haaland, because I was slightly concerned for him, with that knee injury. It looked really nasty and awkward, but pleased for him that he was back out playing and obviously gets another goal.
Yeah, he does get in there and does score the goals. You could see he was absolutely choked by the handball thing, as we would be as strikers. It was very much Manchester City's first half, and Tottenham came back into it in the second and both teams had their opportunities.
Spurs missed a sitter, didn't they? Last couple of minutes or last minute?
Yeah, they had 2 or 3 efforts. Son had a shot that was really well saved by Ederson, and then there was a cross. There was a header right in the last second from Sarr, which he couldn't keep down. There was another one at the far post. They had quite a few chances to level it. Tottenham. It was quite a good game.
So they deserved to win, City, or not?
I thought it was fair. I thought it was very much City's first half and very much Tottenham's. More came into it in the second. There wasn't a lot in it. Probably overall City maybe just about edge. I think they're getting better, City. They're nowhere near where they were, but they're much improved from where they were earlier in this season.
Yeah. Good win for them. Good win.
Yeah. I think they'll be looking more ahead to next season as much as anything else.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're obviously still going in the FA Cup as well, but and they've got Plymouth at home in the FA Cup, so you would think they will get through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and if they can get in top 4 again, then considering their issues and problems, then I would fancy them to do that anyway, get in the top 4 now, wouldn't you?
I'll be very surprised if they don't get in the top 4. And obviously it looks like 5 will be enough as well this season. It really does.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace going well, aren't they?
Flying.
God.
And they battered Aston Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah, played really well.
They did, I watched large parts of that game. Again, I was sort of flicking around, but they've got some option. They've got some firepower. I mean, Mateta, he's a real handful, isn't he?
Yeah.
The forward options they've got.
And also Adam Wharton coming back, who
played well.
Was picked out for the analysis last night. He was that player, wasn't he? That sneaked into Gareth's squad. He didn't feature obviously in the Euros, but you can see the talent there. Really good in that position. He's aggressive, but he's also keeps the ball. But he looks forward when he passes as well.
That's a good thing about him, I think. Certainly from a forward's point of view, is that his first thought, I think, all the time. And it makes your job easier as a forward when you've got a midfielder who's prepared to do that. I know it sounds really simple, but a lot of the time you don't see it. But he's a really talented midfielder. I hope he stays fit now, because he's really exciting.
Yeah, he really is. I think when you say it sounds easy to forward pass, I think the reason a lot of players don't do it is because
possession.
It's possession. Let's keep it, and then I'm not the one who gives the ball away.
Yeah.
So you'll often see that the best players, the best midfield players, are the ones that often their percentages of keeping the ball are not as good as perhaps other players.
Yep.
And it's the same. Also, you can say it of really good attacking players in terms of when they're dribbling. Lionel Messi, for example, loses the ball more than perhaps any other player in the Spanish league in a season, but that's because he can, 4 times out of 5 he'll beat players out of nowhere. So they're the players that make a difference. So you and I both played up front, and midfield players that pass the ball forward,
so much easier. Your job is so much easier when someone in the midfield is prepared to do that. Okay, if it's not on, then go sideways or backwards. But forward passing.
Exactly. But Glasner's done really well because they had such a poor start.
Yeah, he was under pressure as well.
They had injuries
and stuff. There were rumours about him, his job. He's been under pressure and all of that, but. They've recovered really, really well, and if they've got everyone fit, they're a tough outfit.
Yeah, they are. They're flying. Yeah. They've only lost 3 of the last 15.
Wow.
It's really quite tight now after the top three. I think it's kind of not much separates the team. Anyone who has a little burst of victories could easily find themselves challenging not just for Europe but Champions League positions as well.
Well, that's what we're going to be watching most, I think, because I think we all agree the title's done. Relegation's almost nearly guaranteed with the three that are going down. So I think the gap between, third and 10th is really, really tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just 6 points separates third to 10th.
Amazing. So one week you're going to lose one and someone's creeping up, and then the next if you put 2 or 3 wins together, you'll climb up that from 10th to, I don't know, 4th or 5th, something like that. So that's going to be a fascinating watch from now till the end of the season.
Exactly. You didn't catch by any chance the Copa del Rey semi-finals, did you?
No,
I certainly watched quite a lot of the Barcelona Atletico Madrid.
Was it 4? What was it? 4-4 or something?
Well, let me say, Alvarez and Griezmann played in Barcelona. No, they put Atletico 2-0 up after just 6 minutes. Then Pedri, Kubasi, Martinez and Lewandowski put Barca 4-2 up. And then Llorente and Sorloth scored in the last, Sorloth was the 93rd minute to get a draw. It's the first leg. Now they'll go to the second leg's on, I think, early April, 2nd of April. And then the following night, Real Madrid won away at Sociedad. So it'll certainly be either, Real Madrid you would fancy strongly now, and then, the other one's probably 50-50. I mean, Simeone's, it's a great job. Do you know he came in in 2011?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
14 years he's been there. I mean, he must be the longest serving manager, certainly at one of the big clubs in the top 5 leagues in Europe. I mean, he's been there, but he keeps managing, even if they have a couple of dips of certain season. And then he gets back and he galvanises them.
Unbelievable. And they've got them in the last 16, haven't they? The Champions League, Atletico Real again.
Atletico Real, that's going to be the Madrid derby.
Unbelievable.
I mean, there was a time when the Madrid derby was very much one-sided. Real Madrid obviously have the edge on it anyway.
Yeah.
But it used to be that, Real, that wasn't really, the big game was always just Barcelona, but that is such a competitive game now. So there's some big games up. We could have a Clasico final. You see that one goal that Real Madrid scored, which was Endrick. Nice finish, actually. Fantastic pass from Jude Bellingham.
I haven't seen it. I just read about it this morning, saying what an unbelievable assist it was. Yeah. Yeah,
it was a kind of a brilliant, but Trent Alexander-Arnold kind of pass. So we might get a Clasico final. We shall see. That's all for today's episode of The Rest is Football. We'll be back on Monday to discuss the drama of the FA Cup 5th round and all the other headlines from the world of football. We'll also be together again on Sunday at Old Trafford.
Trafford, looking forward to that one. I'm doing
Mike
the core
will be
comms
there as well for that. So please do join us on BBC for that one on Sunday afternoon. It could be interesting. Do you imagine? I think Fulham probably go into it as slight favourites.
Yeah, maybe.
I know that sounds mad going to Old Trafford, but
I know probably maybe they do. Yeah, which is like crazy, isn't it? But I wouldn't put you off that, to be honest, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good game. Yeah.
I'll see you at Old Trafford, Alan.
See you then.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.